Welcome back to the Lemon Factor. I'm Chad, and in today's video, I'm going to provide you with an update on my experience with the Michelin Pilot 4S summer-only tires. So when I first purchased these tires, we had a lot less horsepower on our project car, the 2019 Honda Accord 2.0 Touring, and my initial impressions were very positive. If you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link in the description below. But now that I've had the tires on the car for some time, and now that we've added some significant additional horsepower and torque to the car, I'm going to give you my feedback as far as whether or not I would still purchase these tires. We're going to talk about the dry grip, we're going to talk about cornering, wet grip, ride quality, noise, and more. So if you're considering purchasing, upgrading to the Michelin Pilot 4S, then stay tuned. So the tires that we have on our car are bigger. I went from 235 to 265, so that's a pretty good increase in overall tread width. I did keep the same aspect ratio of 40, but I went from a 19-inch to an 18-inch. Overall, relatively the same size, diameter wheel, but maybe a little bit more sidewall, so that could have an impact, especially on ride quality. Let's touch on grip. So whether it's grip and accelerating from standstill, or grip going around corners, or even more grip when stopping. Initially, I was really impressed by these tires. And I'm not saying I'm not now, I still am. When purchasing these tires, when looking at these tires, that is the number one feature I was looking for. I was looking for something that would be able to handle the additional horsepower and torque that we're adding to this car. That when I accelerate from a standstill, when I accelerate from a low gear while rolling, that I'm not just gonna spin up my tires, that it's going to help put that power down to the ground. And it absolutely does. So I haven't changed my opinion on that. I highlight this first because a lot of you had a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, or in a way, a lot of derogatory remarks about these tires as part of some of the more recent videos in which I highlight the fact that I can't get traction with this car. So we took the car to Bandimere Speedway, we took the car out to do some 0 to 60, and it just spins the tires. It spins the tires because we have so much horsepower and torque. Aside from possibly slicks, no other summer dedicated street tire is going to be able to really handle that. So I want to make sure that it's clear that I don't regret buying these tires for that reason. These tires are phenomenal. They are noticeable improvements. So cornering, acceleration, stopping, phenomenal. Let's talk about the temperature, because I have noticed a big difference in how this car rides and feels just with the ambient temperature outside. So I'm not talking about warming up the tires, you know, doing a burnout or nothing like that, just ambient temperature outside. When it is colder, when it is in the 40s or even 50 degrees, the tires do feel a lot firmer. That you do lose a little bit of grip, just a little bit, not substantial, but it is noticeable. When it is warmer outside, when we're talking about 70, 80 degrees, they soften up nicely and you easily can take advantage of the grip that these tires. I want to take this opportunity to mention our merch store located on Etsy. I'll leave a link in the description below. Go take a look. We have t-shirts related to our two project cars, the 10th generation Honda Accord and the Toyota Supra. I will routinely be updating the store, removing some designs and adding some fresh new designs. If you like something there, please consider purchasing. Consider supporting the channel by purchasing some merch. Ride quality is really, really good. And during the video in which I did my initial review, I did highlight that I was impressed, but I have to say that I'm even more impressed. I continue to be impressed with how supple these tires absorb bumps. If you're concerned about ride quality, at least in our size, so you have to go back to the size, right? If you're getting a sidewall that is, you know, a 30 aspect ratio, that may not be the case. But with our 265 40/18s, spot on. Really happy with that. However, it does come at a cost. So the cost is the noise. And at first I thought, hey, it adds a little bit of noise. Let's drive it on, you know, the downtown Denver, you know, the city streets. Let's compare it to suburban driving. Let's take it on the highway, see what it does. In city driving, you're not going to notice a huge difference. Suburban driving and on the highway, you will. It is a louder tire, definitely a louder tire. Now I have broken pavement, I have pavement, so asphalt, but I also have concrete here where I live. I have all of it. I got a whole mix of it, smooth, not smooth, whatever it might be, and it is louder. If that's gonna bother you, keep that in mind. Consider that if you're going to be purchasing these. But I'm okay with this. I'm all right with it. I am willing to give up I was willing to give up a little bit of ride and noise for better grip and cornering. Luckily, I haven't had to give up on the quality of the ride, but I am giving up a little bit on the noise side. So because these tires are so grippy, are soft, in order to give you that traction you're looking for, they pick up a ton of rocks. Any little gravel, they're picking it up and it's slinging them into your fender wall, and it's annoying as hell. When I rotate the tires, I find a lot more gravel stuck. It is not just stuck into the grooves, the sipes, whatever. It's not just stuck within the crevices of the tire. It's stuck on the tire itself. So it's a sticky tire. It has rained for 2 days and we've gotten probably over 4 inches of rain, and that's a lot for us. So yesterday I had to take my wife to the airport, and that's a pretty lengthy drive. Probably about 70% of it was on the highway, and there was a lot of water. It was standing water and a lot of runoff on the road. A very good opportunity for me to test out the tires. Looking at the ratings, it does seem to indicate, or would give you the impression, that they're really good in the wet. And I'm going to contradict that. I am contradicting it. I am going to say, be careful if you will routinely use these tires in the wet, especially, I'm not talking about a little, you know, sprinkle here or there or afterwards. If you live in an area, I'm thinking of, you know, Florida, that you may have some runoff or standing water, just be careful with these tires. I did notice that there was a little bit of hydroplaning. I did notice a numbness in the communication between the tire and the feeling that I got, that it was very numb. I couldn't tell what was happening with the tires, and it was a little shaky. So going over certain areas, I felt the back end, which is surprising for a front wheel drive car, skirt out a little bit. So like everything else I said, let's put some caveats around it. Again, larger width, 265, that could contribute to the fact that I have less feeling in the rain. It was also colder, so it was 45 to 48 degrees. As I mentioned before, you could definitely feel a difference when it's dry, depending on the temperature. It softens up. When it's warmer, it gets firmer, the actual tire itself, and you lose some traction when it gets colder. And I even feel that at 50. So for me to drive in the rain yesterday at 45 degrees Fahrenheit and with a larger 265 width, I'm not surprised. Would you have the same experience if you were running 235 and it was, let's say, you know, 70 degrees in Florida? You probably, I would guess you'd probably have a better experience. You probably wouldn't notice as much of the hydroplaning. So what's my final verdict? Would I recommend the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S summer only tires? Yes, I would definitely recommend the tires if you're looking for better dry grip, better cornering, better braking, if you're looking for a comfortable ride, and you're willing to give up a little bit of noise and a little bit, maybe more than a little bit, of wet traction performance. However, there are a lot of alternatives out there. I highlight that because compared to the price that I paid, the prices for tires in general have skyrocketed over the past 12 to 18 months. And if you're like me, price is a consideration. These are really expensive tires now, and if I were to be purchasing them new now, I would take that into account, and I probably would be looking at some cheaper alternatives. With that said, I think we're done for today. Thank you very much for joining, and until next time.